Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today I will be running through what features I expect to see come with the first patch of the year, being Alpha 3.23. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. And if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. So as we approach the first roadmap update of the year, currently expected on Wednesday the 7th of February, I'm sure we are all eagerly awaiting to find out what features we will see come to the persistent universe in the first patch of this quarter, being Alpha 3.23 at the end of March. In fact, it was only just last night that they dropped the first 3.23 patch for the EVA Catty, which is only focused on stability testing rather than testing any of the features, so great to see that this is already rolling onto the PTU, with it being essentially 2 months away. So there is a good long time for testing, bug fixing, and rolling out those features. So as I say, today we are going to run through what features I think will be coming along for 3.23, but do bear in mind, until we get the first roadmap update, nobody knows what is definitely coming, so this is just mostly my expectations, as many have been asking for it. So with that said, let us get to the video, but I won't spend too much time on each of the features, as there's quite a lot to get through. So grab a drink, grab some snacks, and settle in. So the first ones that I suspect will come along for 3.23 are the updated player animations and movement, or new player locomotions. Now this includes a new prone mechanic, giving much more freedom of movement, while also looking a lot cooler as well. Greater ladder locomotion, like leaning or turning, being able to jump off from a ladder in any direction or at any height, and jumping onto a ladder, shooting from a ladder, or generally being able to use a single-handed item and interact with a usable. A very much needed quality of life update. The new sliding mechanics as well, allowing players to slide across the floor for a short distance to get to cover, and as we have just recently heard, the new updated EVA system is now set to release to Alpha 3.23, which brings a whole host of improved animations, abilities, and generally just polishing the feature to be more user-friendly. EVA will also introduce the ability for you to use your hands to push yourself or pull yourself along of a surface, and although this might not roll out for the first release, we will see eventually detachable EVA jets that have limited fuel. So a great selection of quality of life improvements that will take the current systems that we have, being very janky, to a standard that you would expect for a AAA game of this year. Now the next set of features that we know as well are releasing in 3.23 are the new player interaction updates. Now this includes the player's hands physically reaching out and picking up or inspecting any item in the verse, being able to choose whether you instantly inspect, instantly store, or carry an item. Your character's hands will physically reach out and press buttons, flick switches, turn cogs, and basically interact with everything in the game world. And this should also include FPS weapons, so seeing your character attach or detach a silencer or a scope, I know that is planned. Whether that is coming with 3.23 though, I don't know. Now this update should also bring the new item interaction system as well, which does look a lot better than what we have now, so no glowing outline around the object when you just want to look at it, while also giving you a lot more control and choice over each item and how you want to interact with it. And although I'm not a big fan of these interact wheels, I'll take it versus what we have right now. Now this will make all of the interactions in the verse with any item that we find more polished, more robust, more clean compared to what we have now, so it is a much welcome addition, not to mention sitting in your cockpit, pressing all the different ship buttons as well to get your ship started. It'll just feel so much better. So I also think we will see many of, if not all of, the upcoming FPS updates that we saw at CitizenCon, which include new weapon balance and alterations, like the recoil values, being able to reload from our backpacks, which will be very handy, albeit with a slower speed, sound updates for all the weapons, improved aim down sights and iron sight views, new scopes, a new crosshair that only works if you have the right helmet on, and a lot more balance and tuning for all weapons. Again, taking what we have now away from feeling like an early access game to a much more polished, finished product. I also suspect the updated cloud visuals and optimizations like light shafts and ground fog will come along, as these were originally set to release in Alpha 3.22 at the end of last year, but didn't make it in. So I am expecting they will release for Alpha 3.23, and hopefully if this is the work needed to be done for clouds before they can start moving on to weather, then that would be a great start for the year. Now, I think there is also a strong chance that we will see the updated character customizer for 323 rather than Quarter 2, as this feature is currently just in polishing, with a little exploratory work going on for a potential better sculpting process, and I will certainly look forward to spending a long time building and creating my new characters. Now, UI for Quarter 1 and Quarter 2 and pretty much the whole year will see a large amount of changes in all areas, as the UI team have heavily been working on and improving everything. Now, it is very difficult to determine which UI elements will roll out Quarter 1, Quarter 2, or for the second half. Some of them will certainly come for 323, and others later on. Now, I really hope that we will see the new StarMap and associated minimaps, as it was said that these are just in polishing right now according to the monthly reports for November and December, as well as there being many files for the StarMap in Alpha 323's Evocati patch, so there is a great chance we will see the StarMap come for the first patch of this year, which of course we all know how much of an important improvement this will make, not to mention being able to place waypoints to return to share with others, or sell potentially as well. But the updated Mobiglass might take a little longer. We could see things like the home screen coming in first, with other apps coming in later, as it did say that there is still more to do for the associated apps. So, like I say, the home screen could roll out first and then other apps throughout the year, rather than it all dropping at once. But we could see many new apps come for 323. As we have heard, there are files for things like the Galactopedia, the player status screen, and the ship status screen, amongst others. And for me, getting the Galactopedia in-game will be so much better, as I'll be able to sit on a long journey travelling somewhere, or while I'm just chilling out reading about all of the lore in the verse, rather than having to do it on the website. Now, the same principle kind of applies for helmet visors, ship hoods, and MFDs, as they are planning to create more bespoke MFDs and ship hoods per manufacturer. So, for example, Drake looking different to Aegis, and for helmet hoods, these will be contextual to helmet type, be that combat, exploration, mining, and so forth, presenting relevant information based on what you're doing. Now, again, we will likely see a lot of these updates come to release in Quarter 1 and Quarter 2 and beyond. Hopefully a large chunk of the updated UI can come in, but I certainly think there is a lot more to do. But even if it is a newly updated sort of placeholder for the time being for one manufacturer that they can just spread throughout all ships or all visors, and then at a later date roll out the more manufacturer-specific ones, I would be fine with that. I also think we will see the Quick Loot UI for 323, giving players a quicker, easy way to loot a body when you're in the heat of battle. But as mentioned, knowing exactly what UI changes will come for 323 or beyond, we are yet to find out. Now, something else that I think we could see roll out in 323 is the updated water visuals and physics, as it was mentioned in the monthly reports that the Planet Tech team continued wrapping up the water feature, focusing on robustness, memory usage and performance, as well as improving the water edge effects against both the environment and visor camera lens, with the VFX team adding support for water as well. So I think it is absolutely possible that we will see this very impressive water feature come in for Quarter 1, which doesn't really add much in terms of gameplay, but it will make all the bodies of water in-game, from puddles to oceans, look more realistic and act more realistic as well, which I am really excited to see. Now, next I want to talk about performance, stability, general optimizations and bug fixes, which are, as always, an ongoing task irrespective of what patch is releasing when. Now, Cloud Imperium are heavily focused on cleaning up the verse, from features, performance, quality of life, bringing as much as possible up to the same standard. And with the replication layer, Vulkan API, and a lot more on their way, I feel we are going to begin to see Star Citizen become the most stable and performance friendly that we have ever seen it. I actually think that the Vulkan API could release in 323, as it was mentioned in the November and December reports that it is now reaching its final development stages. Of course, there could still be a lot more to do, but I'm really hoping that this switch can make its way in and thus provide a huge performance boost for many, and then open the door for more things like ray tracing and VR, although we are not talking Quarter 1 here for this. Now, this ongoing task of improving what we have and making it more playable will see more improvement this year, as we have already seen since 320, with the game for many becoming a lot more stable and playable. So here's hoping, with a lot more of this work and important tech coming in, Star Citizen will no longer feel like early access and more like a optimized game. Next, I will briefly talk about missions and reputation, as the mission teams are really going for it when it comes to creating more content. Now, I won't go into it too much as there are many new mission archetypes in the works, not to mention when new locations come along, like the distribution centers, these new missions and current missions will get hooked into them as well. But alongside missions, reputation is going to play a much more important role this year, hopefully starting with 323, providing more avenues for players to pursue and focus on unlocking better paid jobs and rewards. And in regards to mission types, I do remember seeing mention of a new ground vehicle race coming along for either wheeled vehicles or hover vehicles, which is more up my street than ship racing, so I hope to get a lot of practice in and take you all on. Now, another ongoing task that should see a lot more progress with 323 and beyond, and actually significantly change much of the game and what we do in-game, is the economy. This has seen quite a lot of balance going on already for prices of items in-game like ships, weapons, armor, and more, and will continue to evolve with mission payouts getting balanced, the prices of all the resources in-game changing as well, and I hope to see ship insurance prices and timers change as well, to help encourage players to keep their ships and repair them or get them towed rather than just quickly reclaiming them. Of course, ship insurance prices and timers shouldn't change really until the major bugs are taken care of, which causes to have to reclaim our ships, but the changes to these ship insurance and timers will have major knock-on effects for things like salvaging and other career game paths, so really excited to see that come along, but again, once those major bugs are no longer an issue. And one thing that we should see in 323 and throughout this year is major changes to prices and payouts, and getting this all balanced to where it makes sense across the entirety of the persistent universe, and then bringing in things like danger and distance and how that calculates into your potential payout. So big things happening with the economy. It is one of the most important systems for Star Citizen, and I'm very happy to see that it is now an ongoing task. Now finally for 323, I want to talk about ships and vehicles. Now I have no idea exactly what we will see release in 323, but some potentials, as we saw at CitizenCon last year, could be a new hoverbike, a new Ursa Rover variant, hopefully something like a medical variant, cargo flatbed or a camper, the Argo box mover for when the cargo updates come along, a Mirai Fury heavy fighter we have seen leaked, the Legionnaire, which will require hacking, of which some of these files have been found for 323 with a new hacking device, and maybe even ship modularity. Although I don't expect that for 323, it'll be interesting to find out where they're at with it now. And in the latest monthly report, there is talk of 3 new variants in the works, so we could see these for 323, whatever they are. Okay, so next I will run through some features that I think are potentially coming with 323, but equally possible coming for quarter 2. The previous features are ones that I feel quite confidently will come in 323. These ones are going to be ones that I hope are, but as I say, could equally be the next patch. Now, one of these being creatures, or fauna. I think AI-driven creatures in Star Citizen is more dependent on the replication layer split and getting that released, and if this does come in for a 322.x patch in February, then creatures should be a greater possibility for 323, otherwise they may hold off releasing them until the rep layer is separated. We have seen some files in the Evocati 323 build that talk about a quadruped creature, which could be something like a Kazi Grazer cow or something a little more dangerous, but just because the game files are coming in for 323 doesn't mean it's gonna happen for 323. It is a good sign that they could be coming soon, but we do know that one day we could be walking planetside and then stumble upon a creature, as Jared did say that they might not tell us about every creature they implement straight away. So really hoping to see Fauna finally make it into Star Citizen's persistent universe for the first quarter of this year. Oh, it'll be so cool to be able to check them out, but we will see. And then the other potential feature we will see in quarter 1, which I do more feel like it's going to be a quarter 2, are hangars, freight elevators, distribution centers, and cargo updates. Now that said, it is quite possible that we could see something like the distribution centers come along for 323, as these can have many of the current missions and new missions hooked into them to provide content and a series of new locations for players, but the elevators and hangars I feel are more of a quarter 2 thing, as these affect many other areas of the game, as those teams will have to do quite a bit of work to accommodate for them. Plus, I think the grander cargo updates that are coming will come around the same time as the elevators and hangars, so there is a lot to do for these two features beyond just getting them in-game. So I suppose my estimation would be distribution centers for Q1, elevators and hangars Q2. Of course, I would love to see them all in 3.23, but I just don't see it happening. Now next, I would like to talk about experimental modes, which is a place where features that are getting worked on can come in a more raw state in Arena Commander for players to test and help Cloud Imperium gather data and balance the feature itself. Now this means that we, the players, can get our hands on some features that are still ways off releasing to the live servers, but still experience them. And one of these features that I know won't be releasing in 3.23, but will continue to develop with our help, is Master Modes. Now this will continue to remain in Arena Commander's experimental mode, while the flight teams add new updates and changes, as well as balance, tuning, and so on and so forth. I really hope to see atmospheric flight come into either the experimental mode or 3.23, as that would be cool, but I think the chances are it'll take a while to update all of the ships to have controllable surfaces like flaps, ailerons, and other aspects. Now another system that we should see come to the experimental mode is the resource network. As we heard during CitizenCon, they want to get this into Arena Commander's modes to get players' hands on it and help them test things. And this will bring the ability to tune, fix, monitor and control all of the resources for a ship, from power, coolant, venting and more, all at a control panel or directly at the item itself. And similar to what was said with the water feature, it was said that the VFX programming team worked to finish off the fire hazard system, investigating network support, so although fire might be somewhat ready to release into the persistent universe, I feel like they would want to wait for the resource network to bring that in to have more impact for it. Now to finish the video off, let's talk about the tech preview channel and server meshing. It was mentioned that Cloud Imperium are aiming to get a version of server meshing, or get testing server meshing, in 3.23. Now this does not mean that we will see Pyro, Alpha 4.0 or the complete server meshing tech in the first quarter patch. Of course, it will likely be relating to the tech preview channel, and after the replication layer split rolls out to live, in hopefully, as I say, 3.22.x patch, but still potentially a 3.23x patch, Cloud Imperium will want to get server meshing into the channel to get it tested. Now my thoughts are maybe 2 or more servers in the Stanton system to test that players are transitioning from one to the next seamlessly with everything being replicated. And I suspect that their current aim is to get this into the 3.23 branch, and then from there, chances are they will want to test jump points and the Stanton Pyro connection with a 4.0 build of sorts in the tech preview channel, targeting for the 4.0 release being summer of this year, as they estimate. As always, this is just more of a best estimation on their part. Things can and most likely will come up that will push this date back, but I am firmly crossing my fingers that all goes well. It is not comparable to how well Persistence went, as they are very different pieces of tech with different challenges. So don't think that because Persistence took forever and was a complete nightmare, that server meshing replication layer is going to be the same principle. They are entirely different, and it begins with getting the replication layer split into the live servers, and they are not far off getting this done with more tests on the way. But there you have it. Those are my expectations for Alpha 3.23, which is already in testing with the Evocati, so we will certainly see a lot more information about what features are planned for the first quarter, plus the roadmap will be updated next week, giving us the best idea. As I say, if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing. We are about 200 subscribers away from 60,000, so thank you so much. Do come and hang out over at twitch.tv/SuperMacBrother. You are all more than welcome over there. The link is in the description below. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a massive thank you to my patrons and channel members. Cannot do this without you guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.